You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. If you're not, make sure you download and subscribe to all of those shows to get great Patriots content all week long. Tonight, as I said, it is the Patriot Nation Podcast with me, Pat Lane, and my guy, Matt St. Jean. And Matt, it's been a heck of a week, but no one is as mad at the Patriots for being good as Stephen A. Smith and Cam Newton. It's pretty unbelievable. It's pretty wild.
I think this is what I hate about this stuff. Like, this is a really intriguing matchup between the Patriots and the Bengals. We've got the Joe Burrow intrigue and the Jamar Chase intrigue and a Bengals defense that's awful versus Drake May. And yet the lead story is going to be about a feud between a hot take artist on the worldwide leader of sports and a quarterback who just doesn't really care about the hot take artist.
Right.
This is what leads to the clicks. I'm glad Drake May is mostly staying out of it. I don't know if he knows what channel that's on or what TV show Cam Newton's on or whatever, but saying he doesn't know was 100% the correct answer, as evidenced by how mad they got about it today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was awesome. Legendary. Just legendary for him to be like, I don't know what show he's on right now, but like, whatever, what do you want me to say? Like, just absolute perfection from him. And I think, that might have been my favorite. That might have been my favorite thing that he's said this year, because it's just so good. It's just like these guys they thrive off of the clicks and everyone knowing and everyone talking about them and for Drake May to say, yeah, I don't know, whatever show he's on or whatever, they get paid to say outlandish things, which is exactly what they get paid to do. It is just the absolute perfect thing for him to say. He said everything correct. It was great. And I don't understand. I guess I just don't understand what they're upset. Like, they're upset about nothing. And my favorite part about them being upset about nothing is that this is like, it's the perfect kind of look into almost, and I don't want to say politics, but like, it's almost kind of like a political thing, because it's like they're upset that Andy Hart took Cam Newton's quote out of context, which he didn't, but they're upset that Andy Hart took Cam Newton's quote out of context, and then they took Drake May's comment out of context and got mad about that. And it's like, what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we even talking about? Like, you're upset that your quote got taken out of context, which, by the way, it didn't. He said, Cam Newton said the Patriots are fool's gold. That's a direct quote from Cam Newton. And Cam Newton, it was so untrue. It was so much taken out of context that Cam Newton today said, yes, the Patriots are fool's gold. He doubled down on what he said because it was so far out of context. It's so stupid.
Well, and it's like, it's clear that like, there's a lot of ego involved here on the part of the people over at ESPN. And that's why there's offense taken here.
Yes.
Because they can't imagine a world where people don't know who they are or what show they're on. And I get it. Like, their egos get fluffed quite a lot. They get paid a lot of money. They bring in a lot of viewers. Those viewers are just not really, for the most part, going to be the professional athletes they talk about, because why would they? First of all, they're in season. I'm guessing most of these guys are not consuming a lot of football content anyway. That's what they do for a living. They're not going to go home and put this on. But even if they did, I don't think this is really what they're turning on and taking seriously in any capacity, because everyone knows it's theater. It's a production here. And like,
does anyone watch First Take? Like, does anyone
I think it gets great ratings, but
no, I understand that. But like, is it anything other than like the gym and barbershops and like are people at home watching First Take? First of all, who's at home in the morning watching First Take? I don't.
Here's the thing. I think people watch First Take because it's easy to watch and it's on ESPN. You don't have to know anything about anything to
That's
watch
true.
the show. Like,
Yes,
that's the appeal. So,
that's fair.
and it's entertaining. I don't really watch it, but I get why people would enjoy it. It's entertaining. It's just that it's theater. Like, it's
Yeah.
not, the viewpoints are not held sincerely.
Right.
Nobody believes what they're saying. They're coming up with things that sound good when they're reduced to snippets and put on like social media, or that, they want to
True.
put a narrative of some kind for whatever reason. And,
Yeah.
it's
It's just
enjoyable, but, like, it's not to me.
it's one of those funny things, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, Stephen A does nothing for me. I think, he's, I don't know. And
I've
again,
had him blocked on Twitter for a long, long time now, because it's just like, I don't, especially once you got paid for engagement on Twitter, all of the accounts, Stephen A and everyone like him, I blocked, because I'm just not interested in being a participant in them getting ad revenue by saying outlandish things on the internet.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I just think too, like, it's just not even like Cam Newton. And I know Cam's an interesting cat. He came here, and I always think about when Cam came here, I thought he was going to be a great player and he was going to be an asshole off the field. That's really what I thought. And the complete opposite was true. He was a phenomenal guy off the field. He was awesome in all of his press conferences. He seemed to be an awesome guy in the community. I mean, it was COVID year, so there really wasn't a ton he could do, but he was still trying to do stuff in the community. He seemed to be a really great guy, and he was horrendously bad on the football field. Just
He was
atrociously bad
for
on
like
the football field.
Yeah, good for like 2-3 weeks, and then
And
people
then
talk about COVID being the thing, but I don't think it was that. I think his shoulder was toast, and then once
100%.
he got enough throws, the shoulder just kind of went. And
Yeah.
it's like a pitcher where they're on the pitch count, and once they get past it, it's just not there anymore. And like after that Seattle game, it really just felt like the arm, or was it the Raiders game, was week 3, whatever it was.
That's James was saying. Yeah, James saying the Seattle game where he got stuffed at the goal line to lose the game in Seattle.
Really,
and he was incredible that game.
Really is crazy how many of these Pats Seahawks games have come down to the end.
It's true.
Like, it's because it's like the last 5 Patriot Seahawks games have come down to the final play.
Yeah.
It's wild. So yeah. Do we want to talk about little Patriots Bengals action here?
Yeah, I think let's get into Patriots Bengals. First take. Thanks a lot. But we're all set with you, Cam and Stephen A and Ryan Clark. I will say Ryan Clark, shockingly, ? Ryan Clark was like the voice of reason. Which I was like, okay, that's interesting. You don't see that very often. But he was the voice of reason, talking about, Drake May, like, these guys are professional athletes. Like, they don't listen to us. They don't have to listen to us, and they probably don't listen to us. It's the middle of the season. So, and as you said, I'm happy that Drake is staying away from it. You just don't need to listen to any of that crap.
I will say the only part, and I tweeted this, the only part of this I feel bad for, but like I feel bad for Drake and all this, that like the guy at the center of all this who's saying negative things is Cam Newton, the guy who he loved growing up.
Right.
And like, I don't know how Drake feels about that now. I'm assuming he at least can a little bit separate the person from the industry. But like, it's still probably not great to be achieving your dream, following in the footsteps of your lifelong idol, and for him to be on national television, on the worldwide leader of sports, talking down about it. I don't know. Maybe I expect too much of Cam Newton, but like, expected he give him a little grace on that. And maybe that's not fair, and maybe that's not how the media should operate. The media probably shouldn't operate based off, oh, this guy liked me, so I'm going to be favorable towards him. But I don't know. It's Cam Newton's allowed to have his opinions, but it seems clear he's expressing them in ways to try to get clicks about it. And Drake's the victim and all that. And I feel bad that this is what he has to deal with.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So, and he's getting paid a lot of money to do it. So at least he's got that going for him.
Yes. So I'm sure that makes things easier. Yeah, Drake's a leading MVP candidate. He's got, a wife back home who's like high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
Paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Drake's going to be okay.
Yeah. There's good things going on. All right, let's get into this Bengals game. The Bengals, so the big story going to the Bengals game, and of course there's other stories going to the Bengals game, but the big story in my eyes is Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow, who practiced a little bit last week, we weren't sure if he was going to play this week or not. It looks like with 2 straight full participant days that he's going to be playing on Sunday. I think the Bengals are insane to trot him out there on Sunday. It's just my personal opinion. I think they're nuts. If they weren't playing a game on Thursday, I wouldn't necessarily think that. But you're going to put a guy out there that's recovering from a foot injury. You're going to put him out there and then ask him on 3 days recovery to go back out and play again on Thursday. You're just asking for him to get injured again. And I think that's silly, in my opinion. And maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's, whatever. But if I were a Bengals fan, I would be happy that we're seeing him, obviously, but upset that, we're risking him getting re-injured.
I guess I don't see it that way personally, just because he has been ramping up to this. He had the surgery a long time ago. He's been going through recovery. If he's healthy enough to practice fully, then why shouldn't he be in the game? If he's healthy enough to practice fully, he's healthy enough to recover for Thursday Night Football like every other player, right?
That's fair.
That should be what they're saying. And they are on the verge of being eliminated from the playoffs here. They're 3 games back from the division with 7 to play and with a couple big divisional tilts in there. They kind of need to win every game they can get. I think the time to rest Joe Burrow is if you lose this week and you lose Thursday, and it becomes pretty clear that you're out of it.
Shut him down for the rest of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the time that you consider doing it. And I like the other part of this, it's easy for us to say, oh, shut him down. Don't let him take the risk. These guys aren't really wired like that.
Well, that's also true.
Well, to me, the signature Joe Burrow moment is in college when he threw that pick and the dude for UCF absolutely rocks him, and he gets back off after it and everything. This is who Joe Burrow's always been. He's always been a feisty guy who's gonna take hits and try to bounce back. And
right,
he's not wired like a guy who's gonna be cleared to play and then not play football. He's good. It's even to the point where I think if they were eliminated from the playoffs, he's going to try to play and he might still play.
Fair point. It's a fair point.
This is what these guys live to do. You don't want to see someone else doing your job out there. So I think he plays this, and all of this assumes that he is actually cleared. Because I will say, the description of him in the Wednesday practice as being a full participant did not sound like an actual full participant to me, and sounds an awful lot like what the Ravens were doing with Lamar Jackson when they claimed he was a full participant and then he was limited, because they said that he was a full participant even though he didn't get any 11-on-11 work on Wednesday. Yeah. Now I think that changed today on Thursday.
They said he took the first team reps today on Thursday. So,
but I do wonder if the Bengals are manipulating this a little bit. And if it is only one real practice Thursday, walk through Friday, that I think is a little bit more up in the air. But also, I don't know, he's been in the meetings, I assume. He's also played on this team in this offense since 2020.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
He knows the receivers. Mentally, you're not worried about a ramp-up time. You're just worried about the physicality of it. And if he's good enough to practice.
Yeah, it's good enough to play. If that's the case, you're right. So, but yeah, this I'll tell you, this Bengals defense, we're watching this Thursday night game at the same time. This Bengals defense is not like this Texans defense. This Texans defense is relentless and nasty, and they come after you hard. And the Bengals defense,
I have stats on this.
Okay, let's just go to the stats, because I just feel like the explanation is never going to be quite as, you can't even comprehend how bad they are.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's the most important thing in football, Pat? It's scoring, right?
Usually.
The Cincinnati Bengals rank last by points allowed as a team. But some of you may say, hey, maybe they're unlucky. let's look to someone who's going to watch them play and grade the film and see how they play. Cincinnati Bengals rank last by PFF grade as a defense. Let's say, hold on, PFF's not a Bible. Like, it's maybe they're just unlucky and maybe PFF's getting it wrong. Maybe let's look at the advanced metrics. So the Cincinnati Bengals defense ranks last by EPA per play and last by success rate in the NFL. They are, according to PFF. Oh, and they're also second worst by yardage. Only the Commanders are worst by yardage. They have the worst run defense, the worst tackling, and the sixth worst coverage, according to PFF.
It's unbelievable.
And it is, it's a nightmare. They're second level. The linebackers are just atrocious. It's so bad.
It's unreal. It's really unreal. And you talk about the Commanders. The Commanders are a team that lost by 21 plus points. 4 straight games. Yeah. And so that's who they're worse than. And, if you want to go by, yards, second worst. That's the only team worse than them. So it's really unbelievable. And the Bengals D is just atrocious. It seems like Kayshon Boutte's going to be coming back as well, which I think will be a boost for this offense, for the Patriots offense. And it's just like, there's nothing the Bengals defense does well. Like, nothing they do well.
But their pass rush is okay-ish when Trey Hendrickson plays.
Right. And he hasn't been playing, and he's not playing on Sunday. So, it's just like you have a hard time even finding it. Again, this comes back to don't shoot yourself in the foot. Just don't shoot yourself in the foot, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But
Pat, I know I told you before the show that I had a stat I was going to read on air.
Yes.
That was not the one.
Oh, my Lord. There's another one?
So I got another one for you. So for context here, the Cincinnati Bengals are 3-7. For the math experts out there, that means they've played 10 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
In the 10 games, they've allowed 40 or more points twice.
Okay.
They have allowed 30 or more points 6 times.
Jesus.
They have allowed 27 or more points 9 times. That is correct. There's only one game this season where the Bengals have not allowed 27 or more points. That was when they allowed 16 in week 1 to the Cleveland Browns, who had Joe Flacco at quarterback, who's going to be the guy who goes for the Bengals on Sunday if Burrow can't go.
That's unbelievable.
And Pat, that's not the stat that I was talking
Jesus.
about. Well, you want to hear. We're going to get a little more advanced at this point. We're going to get into some advanced metrics. But I saw this in the Football Insights Twitter account. So, for those who know, personnel in the NFL, base defense. That's going to be, that's when you get your linebackers, your bigger guys out there. The goal is to stop the run. Cincinnati Bengals are second worst in the NFL at defending the run with their base defense on the field this year. But at least, but you can put your nickel and dime defenses out there to stop the pass. Get some guys in the secondary out there, some lighter bodies. The Cincinnati Bengals have the worst pass defense in the NFL by EPA per play out of nickel and dime defenses.
It's unbelievable.
That is the stat that blew my mind.
It's just
if you can't stop the run without a base defense, you can't stop the pass at a nickel and dime. What are we doing here?
It's unreal. It's just unbelievable. They're just a complete disaster. A complete and out disaster. Speaking of disaster, this Thursday night game, Adrian Hill, who was the referee,
it's Patriot Saints ref.
Yes, I believe just blew his Achilles. Like behind the play, just like you could see him like limp off, and then he took the card out. He was sitting on the card, but he took the card out, and they basically they had guys under his arms basically helping him off the field. And then what's it called? And then Harrison just got hurt for the Bills, who just came back. Their rookie corner. Now I don't know how long he's gonna be out for, but who knows? But he was just writhing in pain on the ground. So it's just a ton of guys have gotten hurt today. In and out. Shakir went out, came back. Deion Dawkins went out, came back. Will Anderson went out, came back. So guys are getting banged up. They may not be out, but Terrell Bernard broke his arm. Like almost certainly broke his arm. Like had his arm like this, like making a tackle, and Matt Milano came in and hit him like with his helmet directly in the elbow. And I was like, yeah, well, that's a broken arm.
It's funny because I know we talk about the idea of more injuries during Thursday night football. None of the things we've described have anything to do with this being like a
No.
short rest. This is just
Nope.
freak football.
Yeah.
I know the Bills have had 4 different players pulled for concussion checks tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thurston was one of them. I think he's back in now.
Right.
I'm actually not sure. Never mind. I misread a tweet, so ignore that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's brutal. We also have not mentioned one of the other big stories for this Sunday.
Let's hear it.
Jamar Chase.
Oh my Lord, dude. Yes.
That's where we're at with this. Is that the Bengals going to be without the best player on their offense when Joe Burrow is down and Jamar Chase for spitting at Jalen Ramsey last week?
Oh, no, Matt. He wasn't spitting at him. If he was actually spitting at him, he would have spit in his face, not on his jersey, obviously. What an incredible like defense. That was like, did you hear CeeDee Lamb? I know we're getting off track. Did you hear CeeDee Lamb? It had to have been a joke. I don't think it was a joke, but it sounded like it was a joke. And maybe it's real. I don't know if it's true or not. But
I don't know what you're talking about.
Somebody, I saw a tweet that said Jamar Chase, that CeeDee Lamb said him and Pickens missed curfew because they were out at dinner.
Yeah.
And then he said the reports of me throwing up weren't true. I can hold my liquor.
That's electric, to be honest.
What?
That's Devo. That's how you know you have a good wide receiver. There's only 2 positions that'll say that: a good wide receiver and a good corner. Maybe a good safety. I'll throw safety in there. DBs in general.
I mean, it's just like, what an insane. I think I quote tweeted and I said, officer, there's no way I was swerving. I'm a great drunk driver. Like, I just don't understand your defense for not puking because you're drinking too much is that I can hold my liquor. Like, so you were out drinking the night before the game? What are you talking about, dude? It's just insane. Just a complete lunacy.
I don't know what's going on in Dallas, man. Which, by the way, don't look now, but the Cowboys also have a path to the playoffs.
I know.
This is maybe it's just that the Patriots are good now, but like this season has been so exciting to me. And looking at this playoff race and the way it could shape up over the next 7 weeks, I can't wait to see how this plays out because there's just such a combination of, good quarterbacks on teams that haven't been able to win games and unlucky teams trying to bounce back. And like, if the Cowboys made a push, that'd be electric. If the Texans with this defense made a push, that would be electric. Can the Colts hold on and keep it going? Can the Broncos hold on and keep it going? Can the Patriots hold on and keep it going? Who comes out of the AFC North? Like, there's so many question marks.
Everything's up for grabs. Both in the AFC and the NFC, it just feels like everything's up for grabs. And the fun part about it, too, is that, the Colts are one of the best teams in the AFC. Like, we don't know what Daniel Jones is going to look like when he gets to the playoffs. I think he's still going to be good, but we don't know. Is he going to turn back into a pumpkin? I don't know.
We don't know what he's going to look like later this month.
Right. The Patriots are one of the best teams in the NFL. What are they going to look like when they get in the playoffs, or they play the Bills again, or they play the Ravens again, right? Like, it's so fascinating because there's so many unknowns. Even with the good teams, you're still sitting there saying, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get from this team come playoff time. And so, the Chiefs are on the outside looking in right now. And, they'll probably make the playoffs, I would think, but they don't look like the same Chiefs. Now, maybe they can turn it on, but, they don't look like the same Chiefs.
I think they're favored to win the AFC right now.
I'm sure they are. And
they're not even in the playoff picture.
Right.
I was listening to the Athletic podcast today, and they kind of did this exercise at the start of the year where they put out 10 teams that they thought were Super Bowl contenders before the season.
Okay.
And then they can adjust it throughout the season. But the rule is that once you pull a team off that list, they can't go back on.
Got it. But if they started off the list, you could put them on.
Yeah, but they have to replace someone. And whoever they're replacing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And now that we're getting to Thanksgiving, they decided this week they're going to cut it down to 8. And we're at this weird spot where like they were going through all the teams, and it's like they all like the Patriots, the Broncos, the Colts, and there was no one they felt like they're like, yeah, the Chiefs are 5-5 and out of the playoffs right now. But I'm not going to say before Thanksgiving that we can pull them off to put one of these teams on.
Right.
It's same with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And it was just this weird, and that's how the year feels. Like, it feels like the best quarterbacks. Like, there's a world where the best quarterbacks in the NFL, based on track record and everything, end up with the 4, 5, and 6 seeds in the AFC.
It's true.
And one of them's gone after the first weekend, and the two winners are, if there's two winners, are both going to have to go on the road. Like,
right.
And there's almost a March Madness feel to it, where it's like, that team that gets hot, like one of these teams with a great quarterback might get hot late in the season, but then they're going to have to go on the road and pull some upsets to get to the Super Bowl. And how much does home field advantage matter? Like, and that was one of the things they talked about, is basically like, do you trust, let's say the Patriots get the 1 seed, do you trust the Patriots to win 2 home games, or the Chiefs to win 3 road games?
Right.
And I don't think there's an easy answer to that, given that once you pull a team off, you can't put them back on. I get why they're not putting any of the top, the top 3 seeds in the AFC on.
Yes,
and
that's
yet,
correct.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's a fascinating thought experiment, and again, it just goes to show, what. And I think Denver's a very good team.
Yeah,
but I still don't know. I am not, as PMT would say, I'm not a believer. I'm not there yet. He's played well, but I don't know if I'm bought in on Bo Nix yet.
Well, I think if Bo Nix wins, it's probably going to be a 2015 Peyton Manning, 2000 Trent Dilfer.
Could be.
Yep. Who was Brad Johnson in 02?
Brad Johnson in 02, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it might be one of those situations. And it's like, if you told me, like, I will say right now, I don't think Bo Nix is going to win a Super Bowl. But I will say, if you told me that Bo Nix is going to play in the Super Bowl and the Broncos are only going to allow 13 points, I would say Bo Nix can win a Super Bowl.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I do say, you look at the AFC versus the NFC right now, I don't know how many complete teams there are in the AFC. It's really hard to tell. Like, the Patriots are 5th. The defense is 5th in points allowed per drive. Like, statistically, the offense and defense are both pretty good result-wise. It's just, how does that translate to playing better teams? And, like, the Colts are offense-driven. The Broncos are defense-driven. Every other team is a very good quarterback and kind of an incomplete grade right now, basically.
Sure.
And it's like, there's definitely a world where we have all of this stuff that happens in the AFC and all of this drama, and all of it is to determine who gets blown out by the Rams, Eagles, or Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
It's a good point. Man.
And man, those Rams look real good right now.
The Rams look really good, and that's, I think, and it just comes back to last week, right? Like, I just felt like the Rams and Seahawks are both really good, and then the Rams go out and thump the Seahawks, and you're like, oh, okay, so the Rams are that good. All right. So,
and they still have a return trip. I think week 16 or 17, Seattle hosts the Rams.
Yeah. Yep. So it's, that's going to be fast.
We have all these. Well, that's the fun thing about football, is that you see that you get the one data point and how this matchup goes. And we're all like, all right, well, the Rams are better than the Seahawks. And we might believe that through Christmas. And then
and then they play again and the Seahawks win. Right.
Yeah. And it's like, all right. I think the only data point I feel good about right now is that I'm not, if the Lions have to go play outdoors in the playoffs, then I would be content removing them from that list of contenders.
That is correct. They are the Miami. They're not the Miami Dolphins, but they are the Miami Dolphins in that sense, right? Because it's like, if they have to play outside, it's forget about it. You might as well just cross them off the list. So,
and they have they have a Super Bowl caliber defense. That's the thing. I think this year, I've heard a lot of people say they haven't enjoyed the NFL product this year, and it might just be because it's so defense heavy. But like, I have really enjoyed it. This feels like the early 2000s to me, in that way, where it's like, all right, the quarterbacks, like, there's a lot of really good quarterbacks, and they have to play really well to win, because the defenses have gotten to playing at such a high level.
True. Yeah.
Like, you look like Denver's defense is so good. The Texans, like if this Texans team gets into a playoff game, this defense can make them compete with anyone.
Sure. It's a great point.
Seattle and LA have top defenses. We know the Eagles defense with what they could do with Vic Fangio, and they've upgraded that pass rush now. The Lions have a great defense too. The real outliers at the top there are like the Patriots are statistically good, but don't really pass the eye test. And the Colts are just kind of fine. And we'll see if Sauce Gardner's addition, changes things for them there.
Well, and that's the thing is that, I cannot like the Sauce Gardner move, but if they feel like that gives them a chance to compete for the Super Bowl, then it's worth it. It's 100% worth it, right? And so, we'll see ultimately what happens, but if that's what they think gives them a chance, then it was the right move, So, you want to take a quick ad break, and then we'll, let's do it. This ad break, of course, for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right. And that, of course, is Prize Picks. The first time you try this app, I'm telling you, man, it's so much fun. You can get into it. You can, it's the more than, the less than, the different types of games, all the stuff. It's great. It's awesome. It's fantastic. And you won't regret downloading this app. Okay. Now, again, Prize Picks has early payouts. How about this? If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game finishes. That's right, cash out if you want. Like that. That's kind of nice, right? Guess what? We all have some fantasy teams out there that are already cooked, right? We all have some teams out there that are already cooked, but that doesn't matter. You can play daily fantasy sports right here on Prize Picks. My lineup this week. You know I'm going to do it. First of all, you know I'm going to do it. Drake May, more than 254.5 passing yards. He's breaking 300 this week. That's happening. I'm going Lamar Jackson for more than 248.5 pass plus rushing yards. Come on, that's easy. And then Kenneth Walker with more than 70.5 rushing plus receiving yards. That's what I have this weekend. What you're going to do is download the Prize Picks app, put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that, you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right. I want to get back into this game, but while we're talking about the rest of the league, can we talk about the Falcons for just a minute? The Falcons... So the Falcons last year, I hated the Michael Penix pick for a multitude of reasons. But one of the things I hated about the Michael Penix pick was that you gave $100 million guaranteed to Kirk Cousins. Now, whether that was the right move or not is irrelevant. Why did you do it if it was the wrong move? If you weren't comfortable paying him $100 million guaranteed, what the hell were you doing it? And so it didn't make any sense. Then you draft Michael Penix, an old prospect who had 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 season-ending knee surgeries. That's not ideal, right? Then this year, their pass rush, the worst pass rush in the league last year. So what do? They draft a pass rusher in the first round. Then they move up and draft a pass rusher while trading away their first-round pick this year. No, this next year.
And a note on that, someone traded up to the pick ahead of them too, and gave up far less than they gave in the trade to move up for the pass rusher.
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff where it's like the opportunity cost is kind of like you're moving up, but you're not moving up a crazy amount. And what's really interesting about this is that we're talking about this because I looked up the Will Anderson trade because Will Anderson's a force of nature. He's phenomenal. He's great. Remember that the Texans had the number 2 pick and traded up to the number 3 pick to draft Stroud and Anderson back to back. They gave up a ton to do that. They had the number 12 pick. They gave up the number 12 pick. They gave up number 33. They gave up their first round pick the next year and their third round pick the next year for number 3 and a fourth round pick that year. But the difference is that you're going to number 3 overall. You're getting the third best player in the draft. The Falcons are moving up to the mid-20s. It made no sense to do what they did.
And even when you look at it from like a grade perspective, like for the quarterback part of it, CJ Stroud was seen as kind of 50-50 with Bryce Young for number 1 overall quarterback in the class, and his guys who were worth clearly top 5 picks. Michael Penix was a guy graded by most as a second round pick. And like James Pierce was like a late first, early second round grade. Will Anderson was graded as best player in this class who wasn't a quarterback. Like just differences in evaluations there. And like, I don't know, just because you paid a lot for it doesn't mean it's good. It's like the Falcons are the Falcons are like they just looked at teams that were investing at quarterback and said, oh, so if we just throw money and picks at the quarterback, it'll fix the problem.
Right.
Not if you're not evaluating it correctly.
Well, and that's really the issue. And now, it's when you miss out on the QB, right? And again, who knows if they missed out on the QB? But to your point, the Giants traded up to 25. What's interesting is the Giants traded up to 25 to draft a quarterback.
And paid less.
Right? They traded number 34, number 99, and the third round pick in this 2026 draft for number 25 to draft a quarterback. The Falcons traded 46, a 7th round pick this year, and a first round pick next year for a first and a third for 26 and a third round pick. So value wise, it's probably decently close. But you're not giving up a first round pick next year if you're the Giants. The Giants moved up to draft their quarterback and didn't give up a first round pick.
Yeah.
It's an absolute no-brainer. And anyways, I just think it's crazy for the Falcons to have done that. Now they're in a situation where they're almost certainly going to end up with a top 10 pick, and they're trading that top 10 pick.
And the Rams, who might be the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, and once we get to playoff time and we have a bracket, the Rams might be Super Bowl favorites.
Right.
So they might win the Super Bowl and come back with a top 10, maybe even top 5 pick.
Yeah. And so it's horrible. Just absolutely horrendous management by them to make that deal and to do that. And you just kind of look at it and say like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess they, who knows what they could have done afterwards or whatever the case. But it's just like, man, like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there was a great piece by, I think it was Ben Solak a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of like a level set, a reset at the quarterback class from last year to take a look at it. And like the way most evaluators, the kind of the consensus on that class was there's 3 top quarterbacks. There's one other in JJ McCarthy who is like a late first round grade, and then Nix and Penix as second round grades.
Yep.
And it was like, by that kind of lens, they're all playing about the way we thought they would. Quarterbacks with grades in the late first are like usually pretty boom bust. And like Lamar Jackson is in that group. And like, who's the Paxton Lynch is in that group. Yeah, like it's all over the place. And once you get to the second round, most of those quarterbacks just aren't very good. And like I liked Bo Nix a decent amount, but like he's mostly because he's like kind of Mac Jones, but if he was more athletic, like he can run and it does a little bit more zip on the ball. But like he doesn't make good decisions with the football. So like he's played a lot of football. So it's like, was that going to get better? Probably not. So he is what he is.
Right.
Penix was someone that's just like, I don't know, old prospect, and he's not accurate and he's not mobile. and he doesn't throw to the middle of the field.
And he gets hurt. He's hurt all the time.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, you put it all together, and the guys are playing like everyone, roughly how they were expected to based on rankings pre-draft. And it shows that, like, just because you overdraft the guy, doesn't mean he's going to be good. Now, I'm curious to see how the league reacts to this, because, like, it was clear that first-round quarterback succeeding meant that every team thought, we got to go up and get our guy, because by the second round, he's not going to be there. Does this change the way teams operate next draft, or the draft after, where they look at this class and say, hey, we're not going to be as aggressive at the quarterback position because we see how badly you can get burned on this by reaching on a guy. We're going to sit and wait, and we're going to try to prioritize the rest of the team building, especially in a league right now that's so defense heavy, and showing that you can win with defense and a mediocre quarterback. You know?
Right.
Do they say, hey, we'll take our chances on, like Seattle was investing in the defense, and we're going to take a chance on rehabbing a quarterback. So does some teams say, hey, you know what? Instead of drafting a quarterback with a second round grade of pick 10 this year, we're going to go like trade for Kyler Murray and try to see if we can salvage that and take a defensive player.
Right.
Right. Which also, we see this in the league all the time. Teams will overcorrect all the time. They might look at 2024 and say, well, we can't do that again, and misapply the lessons. Or like, the key part of this whole thing is you have to evaluate the quarterbacks correctly. And if you're saying, hey, we don't want to be too aggressive at quarterback, and you're passing on a guy with a first round grade because you're scared after what happened in 2024, that could be just as bad for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, you got to pick the best guy. That's ultimately what you have to do, is pick the best player and don't try to reach. I mean, it's one of those interesting things, right? Where I was just just out of curiosity, I was looking at where their second round pick, the Falcons, where their second round pick was. So their second round pick was 46. Terrence Ferguson went there, who is a tight end for the Rams. 2 picks earlier was Donovan Arazaruco for the Cowboys, who struggled at the beginning of the year and has really come on and is playing well. 2 picks after him, 4 picks after him was Nick Scorton, who, has been up and down for Carolina, but another edge rusher, right? Like, you start looking around and you say, oh, okay, like, well, that could help. The pick after Terrence Ferguson was Will Johnson, who's been a phenomenal corner for Arizona. So, and I don't know if they necessarily need corner, but the point stands, right?
Will Johnson would fit very well in that defense.
100%. And so it's just one of those interesting things where it's like, if you don't make that move, you get to keep your pick for next year. And even if you want to move up to take the edge rusher from BC, right? Even if you want to do that, you give up, you're moving from 46 to 44 or 43, if that's the case. And you feel like you can't wait and you need to move up with the Niners. Either way, you're not giving up that much to do it. And that's, so to me, it's about the opportunity cost and how much are you giving up based on who you could have had. Right. And so, ultimately,
it's the risk you pay for being a little too overconfident in your internal evaluations. I'm guessing here. And it's, there's the two sides of not two sides of the coin, the two aspects of this. There's the evaluation, how good is the player, and there's the valuation. Like, what does this cost in NFL terms? And I'm not entirely sure where Atlanta went wrong with all this. Like, did they evaluate Michael Penix as a first round quarterback, or did they say there's a market inefficiency here and second round quarterbacks are actually valuable enough to go in the first round? I think it's kind of hard to tell from the outside. I mean, you're never going to get the full story until after it happens. But like, I have not been. Penix played well against us, ish, but like, I don't know. He seems like the kind of quarterback like you have to have a very specific offense for him, and he has to be in a very specific system. And he's older and he's injury prone. And like, how much do you want to build into a guy who like, all right, he requires a lot. He's not going to throw over the middle, which limits what you're going to do. Like, if you look at a lot of the offenses people are frustrated with in the NFL right now, just by like feel, you watch the games and you're like, oh man, what are they doing? And it's all the offenses that don't throw over the middle. It's the Falcons and it's the Eagles and it's the Broncos. These guys who are scared to throw into that area. And like, Like, I just don't know how much you want to invest in guys like that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and it's funny because the Texans obviously are the other example, right? That we're looking at the Will Anderson trade, right? They have a really good year, Stroud's rookie year, and they end up with the number 27 overall pick. So that it's number 27 they're trading, and obviously Will Anderson's an elite player. But what's also interesting is that they had 1 million draft picks because they traded Deshaun Watson to the Browns, and so another. They're out here taking advantage of teams making poor decisions and then using that extra draft capital to go up and get players that they feel like are franchise altering players. Will Anderson's a franchise altering player. Nobody ever thought that James Pierce Jr. was a franchise altering player. Might be a very good edge rusher, but no one thought James Pierce was a franchise altering, edge rusher.
I will say with Pierce, I think he had that ceiling. The problem was a prospect like Pierce has no floor. He's an incredibly fast pass rusher, and like he was incredibly efficient in college, and it's like maybe that translates, but like it always is, like he's a skinny edge rusher who wins with speed.
Right.
And with those guys, if that aspect of their game doesn't translate, they often get into trouble real quick because that's game over. All right, well, you can't stop the run. And your pass rush isn't working, so why am I putting you on the field? Yeah, and like that was always the concern. That was my biggest concern with him. He also he was somehow an incredibly effective rusher in college without really having like moves. Like it was basically all like feel and like being able to read an offensive lineman and get around him with quickness.
That doesn't work in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's
like
work
at times. But
he's got 3 sacks. He's got 23 pressures this year. He hasn't been bad. He's been fine, but like that's in the same categories as Araku and Nick Scorton we're talking about. Like it's not. There's no real difference. So yeah. So while we're talking about those guys, kind of do a quick thing, and then we'll go back to the game.
Yes.
Just going back, I thought it was interesting. The second round, New England's pick, they took Trevion Henderson. We all know the list of guys I wanted, but for those who haven't been around. Nick Scorton, Donovan Ezaraku were on that list at that point. Mason Taylor was on that list. Luther Burden was on that list. I kind of look back at that, and it looks like all 4 guys that the Patriots didn't take that I would have wanted have panned out reasonably well given expectations. Mason Taylor has been the worst of the group, I think, but also tight ends are the slowest.
He's been fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's playing in an offense that's horrendous. Ezaraku and Scorton have been fine. Luther Burden's really started to come on in some ways. And Ezaraku started to come on in some ways too. And what's funny is that also Henderson has played really well. So and that basically this kind of comes back to my argument about the pick wasn't necessarily that I thought Henderson was a bad player. It's that you're going to like the pick in years 1 and 2, but in year 5, which might be the first year of his second contract, how do we feel about it then?
Yeah, how much are you going to like it? Right.
Yeah, and it's. Obviously, I'm hoping I get proven wrong on this. Hopefully Henderson's a really good back for New England for a long time. Maybe he just sticks around for a decade and is in this role. And but I just do think it's interesting to revisit that since those guys came up in the conversation there.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a good point, and it is interesting to take a look at and kind of see, what decisions the Patriots made right and what decisions that we can. I mean, you can second guess everything, I suppose, but like what decisions we, they may want to have back. Right. And Trevion might be in a situation where he, helps the Patriots get to where they need to go and becomes an explosive player along the lines of a Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. I don't think anyone's expecting him to be Jahmyr Gibbs, but if he can be 75%, that's the thing. Maybe 80% of Jahmyr Gibbs, that's a damn good running back. You know what I mean? And that can help you out quite a bit. But then now they got to hit on that first round pick this year as well. And that's really then what it comes down to, right? So, so we'll see.
All right. Do we want to go back to this Bengals game? I have a couple of notes that I wanted to call out in here.
Let's do it.
I think the first one we mentioned before, no Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has 79 receptions this year. The next closest, I believe, is T. Higgins with 35. It might actually be, I think Chase Brown might have 39. I think Chase Brown actually might have more receptions, but they're all short yardage. I'll double check that number. But like for the top 2 receivers, it's Chase way ahead of everyone there. Let's see. Yeah, Chase Brown has 39 receptions. T. Higgins has 35. Noah Fant has 30. Like this Cincinnati passing attack doesn't really have depth. T. Higgins under Yoshivas has been their slot guy. He's useful receiver. He's a solid wide receiver 3 in this league. Chase Brown and Noah Fant have been fine.
Yep.
Outside of those guys and Chase, no one has more than 100 receiving yards for Cincinnati. So I think the names to watch, Tanner Hudson's one of their backup tight ends. Mike Gesicki he was designated to return from injured reserve and is also a full participant in practice. So he might play into this for them. And then Mitchell Tinsley, who's a UDFA in 2023, I believe, has been their wide receiver 4 this year.
Oh, I know that is. Yeah. Yeah. He came on in like training camp. People were talking about him. There was some hype. There was some fantasy football hype about Michael Tinsley.
Yeah. And then he played in 2 games for the Commanders without recording a stat, I believe.
Okay.
In 2023, and then didn't record anything last year. And now he's wide receiver 4 for the Bengals. Name not mentioned there is Jermaine Burton.
Yeah.
Their 3rd round pick last year, who has not suited up for a game yet. Who's been a healthy scratch most of the season, was actually sick last week and missed it, and he's back at practice now. So you have to assume he gets some kind of a look here.
You would think,
but like this is not an inspiring list of receivers, and this is a Bengals passing attack. Like Joe Flacco's not good when he's blitzed. If Joe Burrow is playing, you want to blitz the hell out of him early, I think, to test that foot and see how it's doing. And
yeah,
the Bengals line isn't good anyway. I think you want to blitz regardless, and these receivers are not scaring you out of that.
I would agree. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots defense can do. I mean, first drive, for the love of God, that first drive is going to be a nightmare. Whoever the quarterback is. But I do think over the course of the game that the Patriots can at least slow them down enough. And the Bengals defense is bad enough that the Patriots should have no problem. Again, Drake May has not thrown for 100 yards in his career. If you've been on Twitter,
300.
What did I say? 100?
100. Yeah, he's thrown for 100 a couple times.
He has thrown for 100 just a few times, but he has not thrown for 300 yards in his career yet. As anyone on Twitter would know, because the Bills fans, that's all they have to cling on to right now. But as far as what the Patriots have, they're going to have that this game. I have to think that Drake May is going to throw for 300 yards in this game. Maybe he won't. And what's funny about it is that I almost hope he gets to 299 and they pull him anyways. And they're like, oh, we're up 28-3 or 28-10. And it's the 4th quarter and Drake May's got 295 yards and we're just going to sit him down for the rest of the game because we don't care about your stats. We literally don't. Could not care less about your stupid stats. Like nobody cares. So
it is interesting. If I'm reading this right, only the Bengals as a defense have only allowed 1 300-yard passer this year, at least for net yards. I don't know about.
Maybe they can't have that many sacks. I don't know.
Close. Yeah. And that was actually Bo Nix and the Broncos. But the reason for that is just because they're giving up so many rushing yards.
Right. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're just going to run it on them. I do think we should mention the Joe Flacco aspect in case Burrow doesn't go.
Yep.
Flacco, he's 1-4 in 5 starts with the Bengals. The Bengals have averaged 28.6 points per game in that stretch.
Outrageous. It's outrageous. It's not fair. It's just not fair.
No. That's an insane stat. What do you call it? They were 2-0 with Burrow, who got hurt week 2.
Then they were going to just roll with Jake Browning, which I never understood that decision. It made absolutely no sense the whole time. Like, why are you just rolling with Jake Browning and pretending like everything's fine? It never made any sense.
Well, I think he had been good in the system previously, and they thought maybe there's something here, and it became clear pretty quickly that was not the case.
Yeah.
2 interesting stats on the Bengals. Well, one of them is kind of obvious, but they're second in pass attempts and 32nd in rush attempts. Offensive line's not any good. Ted Karras is on it, but their line's not good, and their defense is allowing so many points that there's basically no point in them running anyway. They have to throw.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to run the ball much on Sunday. They throw over the middle at the highest rate in the NFL. I'm going to guess it's partially a Joe Flacco stat, just an old guy ripping it over the middle.
You would think,
But
yeah.
I think that's your area of concern here. If you're in New England, it's just like, all right, when we play zone, because they're going to play at least some zone, can you protect that area and not get gashed?
Right.
I think that's been the weakest spot.
100%. And I think that's a problem heading in. And that's the biggest thing that I'm worried about moving forward is their depth at that second level. Not necessarily the third level, at the second level, at that linebacker spot. The ability to cover tight ends and the ability to cover the middle of the field. That's what's concerning to me. And hopefully that doesn't rear its head in this game. It certainly might, but hopefully it doesn't. And so, what are you gonna do, I guess? But that's one of the things that I'm looking at. With them.
Well, I think New England wise, the big missing piece for New England is Milton Williams, who's out. So you need to get pressure here no matter what.
Yep.
Josh Farmer, who you drafted this year, is going to get a nod. Kairos Tonga, Corey Durden, those are your next guys up at defensive tackle. None of them are going to be Milton Williams. You don't have to be Milton Williams. Can one of those guys put together one good game? I think is what I'm looking for.
That's what you want. Correct. We need like one good game out of each one of those guys. Barmore, continues to dominate like he did, right? But you just do enough. That you're able to slow the run down, stop the run, and kind of go from there. I think that's what you're looking for. And it just we'll see. But
and then for the pass rush, I gotta mention my guy Braden Swinson signed to the active roster, turned down an offer from the Bills to join their roster.
Yeah,
to stay on New England's practice squad. It sounds like they have asked him to do some maturing, and he has done the maturing, and they're working well together.
Yeah.
So he's going to get an opportunity this week, maybe, if they make him active. Elijah Ponder has sacks in back-to-back games, too.
Right. Yeah. So he might have a shot. He's going to continue to get his opportunities. And this is one of the things that Vrabel has talked about consistently, whereas if you play well, you're going to get opportunities. And the better you do in those opportunities, the more opportunities you're going to get. Or, Del Pettis, he talked about last week. And so I think you'll see Elijah Ponder get more opportunities. And we'll see what happens with Braden Swinson. They also signed CJ Dupree to the active roster. Same situation. They were teams looking at him to sign him. And they said, well, we want to keep you around. Now, will they keep him active the whole year? Will he be active for any games? I don't know. But he's on the 53-man roster at this point. They obviously want to keep him around. I think one of the things that Dupree does well is run block. Yeah. So I do think that, it's an opportunity to put him in that Ben Brown situation, that Ben Brown replacement, right? They ran Ben Brown out to be the second tight end. Hooper was hurt on Thursday. They ran him out to be the second tight end, the blocking tight end when they were running the ball. But now the difference is that you have a guy that's actually a tight end that can do that. Now he's not as good as Ben Brown is at run blocking, obviously. But he's a better run blocker than you're used to having a tight end, and he's actually a threat to catch the football. So not only can he run block, but you also, if he's on the field, you're not thinking, well, we don't have to worry about that guy because he might actually go out and catch a pass. So, that just adds another wrinkle into what the Patriots want to do. Again, assuming he's active and they want him to play, it kind of gives them another guy.
Well, like Austin Hooper is also healthy now, so I'm curious how they balance that. I also wonder, do you sit Westover for a game? And it's like Tonk is going to be the fullback, and we have three tight ends. I just think that's probably tough with Milton Williams out because you want Tonka focusing on the defense.
Well, and Mike Reese did mention that they may be more reluctant to play Tonga at fullback.
Westover has had some rough reps the last couple weeks. There's one in Tampa where just there's a wide open hole to the left side. I think this was Tampa.
Yeah,
might have been it. Yeah,
he just stopped in the middle of the hole.
Someone like the nose tackle, might have been Vita Vea, wins from the backside of the run, and he stops to try to block him and steal the lane. But effectively, what happens is the equivalent of your car braking in the middle of the highway
Right.
Like he just puts on the brakes and Trevin Henderson stops and it goes for a loss when it could have been another one of these long touchdown runs.
Well, and that's one of those things where it's like you have to know you can't make that block. Vita Vea might make that tackle, but you got to trust. You have to trust your running back is going to be able to outrun that guy, and B, you have to just understand that if I stop, we're in trouble here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's so just keep going. It doesn't matter if that guy makes the tackle. Who cares? Like, we can't do anything about it at that point.
You have to get out of the way to give the running back a chance to make someone miss rather
Correct.
than being the one hitting the running back.
Right.
So yeah, I wonder what they do there. Like fullback is a spot where you can do better than what they've done. West had a play last Thursday too that was just like May scrambling and looking to toss him the ball, and May throws it a little bit too far, but you could see the limits of Westover's athleticism when he's trying to go up and get it, and he just can't. So that, depth tight end and fullback are spots where going forward, I think you want better players there. It's not a this year problem, but just like how do you solve that for the rest of this season?
Right, and you got Hunter Lemke, right? But like, is he really the guy? You know what I mean? Is he really the guy that you want to be your fullback moving forward? Because again, it doesn't matter. Like this year may not matter, but if you want that guy to be part of your offense, you have to be able to bring that guy in and bring him along and have him develop and grow. Right. And you want him to be good. You want him to be a good player. And I don't know if Hunter Lemke can do that. He looked really good in one day of practice and then was out. So like, we'll see, I guess. But
yeah, for next year, we'll see what the returns are on that.
Yep.
Yeah. I think for expectation. One other note, Ramondre Stevenson's the only guy limited in practice in any capacity right now.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think he'll just play. I will say, Dearness Johnson had a little bit of juice last week. And he might be fine in that role. So we'll see what they do there. But like this Bengals team's awful. So their defense is awful. So just don't turn the ball over and just like run.
Right. Run the ball down your throat. Throw, set the play action up. Throw the ball when you need to, but run it down their throat. And, if you do that, you should win this game by 10 plus points. You should, I
did,
but we'll see.
I did mention that stat before about how they can't defend the run out of base and how they can't defend the pass out of nickel and dime.
Yep.
I think it's worth mentioning the other side of this, which is that they're also the second worst defense defending the pass out of base, and they're the fifth worst defending the run out of nickel or dime.
Horrendous.
Like even
it just doesn't work.
They're not good. There's no aspect of this defense that's good. And like the thing that's shocking is like you pull up the PFF page for the defense and you just like look at the tackling grades for everyone, and it's like every player's in the 50s. Everyone. Right. Yeah. No one tackles well. There was a chart I saw going around that was like the PFF grades for all of like the front seven players, I think, taken in this year's draft. And the three worst players were all drafted by the Bengals.
That checks out
this year. Yeah, it's just not working out the way they hoped with those guys. So yeah, that's just it's
by the way, Patriots fans that are out there right now, if you're watching live and you were hoping that the Bills would lose tonight, I got bad news for you. I got bad news for you. I don't think it's going to happen. 3 minutes left. They're getting the ball down 4. They're going to drive down and score a touchdown and win the game. Like that's
maybe
almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed that that's what's going to happen. We'll see. They might not, but I have a feeling that they will. So we'll see.
By the way, the what do you call it? The players who have not been playing well for Cincinnati's defense, the first round picks or whatever, the high picks. On defense, it's Barrett Carter, who's their 4th round pick at linebacker, Demetrius Knight, who's their 2nd round pick at linebacker, and then Shamar Stewart's on injured reserve right now as a defensive end. And the 3 of them have been awful. They also they drafted Dylan Fairchild in the 3rd, who's a guard. He's been okay.
Yeah.
Their right guard has been Jalen Rivers, who's hurt. I think Dalton Risner's coming in now. Risner. It's like Jalen Rivers was a 5th-round
I think
pick.
it's
He
Risner.
hasn't been good. Miles Murphy has been okay for them on their front.
And it's like part of the problem that they have done is like their offensive line wasn't good, but they tried to fill it in with some guys like Amarius Mims is a guy that I kind of liked coming out of school. The problem with him is that he just was so raw coming out that he needed so much work, and it just hasn't happened. I mean, he's horrendous. He's ranked right now, his overall grade is 65th out of 76 tackles by PFF. It's just not what you're looking for. Just not what you're looking for.
And it's a lot of that, like across the board for them. So it's like you should, even without Milton Williams, I think you're going to win on the defensive line. And it's basically, can their passing attack find something with Jamar Chase out? So even if Burrow plays, I think it's going to be tough for them. And if he's not going to be that mobile, then
it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, then if that's how it's going to be, like, I'm just playing man free. We're going to play man coverage across the board. We're going to have a safety who might double Higgins in some moments. Otherwise, it's probably just going to play middle of the field. And we're going to bring 5-man rush. And we are going to have twists and stunts in line games because we don't think you can run. Like, the quarterback can't run. He's not mobile. So we don't really care if you get out of the pocket. Like, we're gonna win those. So
why do we care about that? Right.
Yeah. And T. Higgins is a good player, and Joe Burrow is a good quarterback if he plays, and Flacco's had a couple of really good games here. So, like, they might still get some on you. But they're going to need to score 30 to win. Cincinnati will.
Well, that's what it comes down to. Right.
Yeah. It's like, I don't care. Your defense can give up 20 in this one. I won't bat an eye. Like, it won't matter. Because it's
that's the other part of it. If the Patriots don't dominate offensively, then it's like, whoa, boy. Okay. If the Patriots lose like 21-17 or something like that, then you're like, oh, God, like, what are they doing? So.
All right. Want to call this and go check out the end of this game?
Yep. That's the end of that. We'll see you guys Sunday night. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. Be good to each other and go Pats.